All right. Well, we've just followed two major announcements, one by Noble and Circle, and then one by dYdX, pending the governance vote, but that's very exciting for Cosmos. I'd just like to start by letting each of the panelists share kind of what they do, what their project is, and kind of how that relates to stablecoins and use cases for the Cosmos network. So, Zaki, maybe we start with you.
Okay, I'll go. I have the most complicated relationships with all of this. So, advisor to Noble, helped get Noble set up. dYdX was like, we're coming to Cosmos, how do we solve USDC? So, sorted. A contributor to Inter Protocol, which is a decentralized Atom-backed stablecoin on the Agoric network. ST Atom coming soon. I am a co-founder of a protocol called Sommelier. And Sommelier is a platform for building decentralized DeFi strategies. And we work with a lot of Ethereum stablecoins. So we provide liquidity on USDC, USDT. We're helping Aave bootstrap the Go stablecoin. We help Frax users earn yield on their Frax. All through different strategies on the protocol. So I do all of these things, and I think I probably touch I interact in some significant way with the stablecoin market almost every day. And so, yes, stablecoins, never-ending nightmare.
Awesome. My name is Seamus Noonan. I'm with Circle. I'm on our business development team, and I have the pleasure of working with all of our blockchain partners, including Noble. For those that don't know, Circle is the issuer of regulated stablecoins like USDC and EURC. And essentially, we provide a suite of tools for developers and businesses to offer blockchain-based services to their customers worldwide.
Hi, I'm Baz Manzalji. I'm the CEO of AkashNetwork. AkashNetwork, for those who don't know, is the world's first super cloud. We work with quite a bit of validators, relayers to decentralize their entire infrastructure on our open cloud. We recently launched our 6th mainnet after 3.5 years of hard work. We've enabled GPUs on the network, and this is the first super cloud that allows developers to access high-density GPUs on demand and help AI developers really access really hard to access infrastructure.
Hey everyone, my name is David Gogel. I'm the VP of Strategy and Operations at the dYdX Foundation. Hopefully by now you're familiar with kind of the dYdX ecosystem. dYdX Foundation is a Switzerland-based nonprofit. Our mission is to support and grow the dYdX protocol ecosystem by enabling communities, decentralized governance, and developers. The foundation is really kind of the entity behind the current dYdX token on Ethereum and really supporting a lot of ecosystem development and growth. And the future version of the protocol, dYdX Chain and V4. Our role at the foundation is really to support the ecosystem overall. I think it's interesting to note, today dYdX V3 on Ethereum has 350 million in TVL or so, all in USDC. It's the 5th largest owner of USDC. As Nate mentioned right before, we've done over $1 trillion in volume on the current version of the platform. So, with the upcoming launch of the dYdX chain, there's going to be perpetuals that will all be settled and margined in USDC. And hopefully bring a lot of the liquidity and users from the current version of their protocol to the Cosmos-based chain.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. So as the crypto industry and ecosystems develop and build, even right now in this bear market, one of the killer use cases is stablecoins. And everyone always asks, what's the use case of crypto? So stablecoins is key to that. And so if we're going to look back, let's just reflect on the last year for the Cosmos network. The Terra Labs UST kind of left a bit of a void, with their crash. But USDC, native USDC on the Cosmos Interchain network is meant to fill that void. So I'd like to hear from anyone who can jump in on this, but yeah, what's your perception on how USDC can kind of fill and solve the liquidity issues on the Cosmos Interchain network?
I'm happy to start.
Yeah, start with Circle.
So with Circle, yeah. So we've been looking at issuing USDC and Cosmos for years now. Like we've always seen this as a huge hub for developers and users. And I think in terms of like filling a void of liquidity, there's a couple different ways to think about it. Liquidity is one thing, but I think the first thing that's needed right now is a trusted and reliable stablecoin where users know, hey, if I come in from any other blockchain, right? Say if I come in from Ethereum or Avalanche, and I'm going to transact within Cosmos, I can transact in a stablecoin I know I can redeem back for the value that I assumed, presumably $1. And then there's infrastructure that supports this, right? So as a user, the void is like, do I trust? Am I able to go into this ecosystem? Am I able to settle my trades? Am I able to buy NFTs with this stablecoin? And that's why we see this as so powerful, not only issuing it, but we're also going to be providing infrastructure like CCTP to continue to allow users, oh wow, really exciting. And then on the liquidity perspective, like we're definitely going to need to look at like how do we drive in liquidity from other blockchains, as well as just Web2 companies looking to mint and now go and bring stablecoins and digital dollars onto a blockchain. And a lot of the feedback we hear is we don't want to take the risk. We don't want to take any either security risk or liquidity risks unless we know that's natively issued, meaning that we will always be able to redeem that for the denominated value, which in this case is $1. So that's something we're really excited about.
So, yeah, I think that, they're like, UST was, from, from Terra, was so, became so dominant in Cosmos very quickly, right? Terra was built on a Cosmos chain. It connected to IBC after Osmosis launched, and suddenly all of this liquidity sort of flooded through the network. And we sort of started, that was the Cosmos bull market, right? Where builders could, there is this sort of sense in which liquidity begets liquidity. And the last year has been the year of sort of the Cosmos liquidity crisis, right? Every Cosmos app has been incredibly starved. My guess is there's been about sort of $30 million of mostly Atom sort of derived liquidity that has been floating around the ecosystem. But that's just pales in comparison to the billions of dollars that were available before Terra collapsed. And I think one of the things that I've been trying to do for the ecosystem over the last year is get all of the pieces together to sort of, bring the liquidity crisis to an end. So multiple ways in which reliable stablecoins can be brought into the ecosystem. So the work with Noble and USDT, the work with IST to allow people to convert their sort of volatile Cosmos assets and yield-bearing Cosmos assets into stablecoins. Both of those things have the potential, are sort of the key ingredients to sort of reviving liquidity in this ecosystem, and the liquidity is sort of existential and fundamentally necessary for its ecosystem. It's also been interesting, one of the most exciting things about working with Circle was if you think about every other ecosystem that Circle works with, they typically work with the foundation for the ecosystem and to bring USDC to that ecosystem. And our ask was, no, sorry, the foundation wants nothing to do with this. So you got to work with this weird network of different organizations and a company that doesn't exist yet to make it happen, and we still made it happen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I would just add stablecoins today are what, a $125 billion market in total. I think if you look at kind of the various app chains on Cosmos, the amount of volume, across kind of the landscape is relatively quite low, right? So bringing in, a stable coin into the ecosystem just is a massive unlock for ecosystem development and growth. So I think there's something to be said about that. And then if you look at, a lot of the hacks in the last 2 years, 3 years, I think there's been over, several $1 billion in kind of bridging hacks. And so
$2 billion.
$2 billion. It's been just a massive attack vector across the space. So I think, the native issuance of USDC, the native issuance of other stable coins on Cosmos is just a massive benefit for the space. You've significantly reduced potential attack vectors. And that's one thing, with dYdX chain we're really excited about. It's all of the perpetual contracts are settled and margined in one type of collateral, right? USDC. And so you really don't need to think through how do you bridge all these other assets. You really just need, one stable coin that can then be used to create all of these other permissionless markets.
Yeah, one of the things that we're super excited about with this new mainnet upgrade for Akash, for example, is we're super excited about Circle being in the ecosystem, issuing native stable coins. But one of the things that was generated in terms of feedback from our community as one of the most requested features was the ability to pay for services on the Akash network with a stable mechanism. For example, paying for a website or a validator or training your machine learning algorithm on Akash network with a volatile asset isn't ideal. So one of your question was, how do we attract liquidity? The infrastructure we're seeing, given Circle's involvement with Cosmos overall, but I also look at the utility of why would people use stablecoins and what are they going to be used for? So it's going to be a lot of lending, it's going to be a lot of borrowing, and in our case, it's going to be stabilizing payments for cloud providers and developers to actually remove a lot of the friction points that we see involved in our own ecosystem. So super thrilled about stablecoins and the utility of the stablecoins within the networks.
Mm-hmm. So we're all excited about, USDC, native USDC on the Cosmos chain. But Zaki, you mentioned kind of how dominant UST was to the Cosmos ecosystem, and then because of that collapse, it did the whole ecosystem took a hit. So high-level question, but there have been concerns raised on the centralization aspect of I guess USDC being one of the top most dominant stablecoins out there. So do any of you want to weigh in on how could the ecosystem, should there be more stablecoins being launched? Like, how are we addressing kind of the centralization versus the decentralization aspect of a major dominant stablecoin being launched on the network? Anyone want to take this?
Happy to take.
Go. So
I guess we sort of arranged ourselves in like the supply side and the demand side, right?
Nice.
So, as someone who works on the supply side for stablecoins, like why work on multiple stablecoins? I think that USDC is like one of the most recognized brands among crypto users, right? And being able to have that brand represented as an asset, as an amazing user experience, with a really strong security story, with a really strong team behind it, with sort of a white glove experience of bringing it to all of the different places where you can use stablecoins in Cosmos, I think is there's one whole story with that. There's also, I think, definitely a need and demand for collateralized stablecoins. So, the demand, functionally the demand for leverage, the demand for being able to mint from assets that you already hold in the ecosystem, like Atom and Osmo. Both of those things are part of the supply of generating a sufficient supply of stablecoin and solving the supply so that builders on the demand side feel like they have a lot of options about what to build on.
Absolutely. And I think on the centralization side, I think people are quick to jump because we are a very regulatory first company and we go about things taking a very regulatory approach for proper licenses and things we need. On the centralization side, to me, what I would fear as a user is what happens if someone blacklists me or they stop issuing this or I can't redeem it? I think to cut that FUD out, on the blacklisting side, I believe we blacklist less than Tether. I'm not 100% sure. And the process for that is we are receiving a high court order to blacklist something, like a tornado cash sanction or something on that magnitude and level. This is not some secret channel in Circle, hey, let's blacklist this address or whatnot. And I think on the liquidity side, in our terms and conditions, as we issue USDC natively on any blockchain, we are contractually saying that is redeemable for $1. And I think something powerful is During the SVB collapse, Jeremy Allaire came out and said, look, even if this doesn't go through, we will use corporate treasury and balance sheet to make users whole for that dollar. So I think that's really powerful. And like on the centralization side, yes, we are a US entity, but I would say on the user side, like we're just infrastructure. We're providing digital dollars. If you want to custody it with someone else, hold it on a platform in a wallet, you're free to do that as a user. So I think that's a common misconception folks think of like Circle and centralization. So we're excited to see what users do, but we just want to provide the infrastructure and the most reliable, stable US dollar backed asset within Cosmos.
I think for the way I look at it is, do we need to see more stablecoins? It just depends on the problem that stablecoin is particularly solving. So one of the examples was, I think, is it Mina? She was from Colombia. There's a lot of hyperinflation, and those, the population there actually needs something that's a little bit more stable. I can, speak from personal experience, being from Syria. The hyperinflation is real, and that populations actually need an alternative to something that could stabilize the socioeconomic lifestyle for the particular regions. I'd like to see more stable coins regionalized that are focused on solving those particular use cases. So for example, we're focused on adopting USDC for developers to pay cloud providers because it's easier to transact, it's also easier to account for, and it's easier to integrate with their underlying accounting systems. For other use cases, if people are trying to save money, tokenized T-bill-backed stable coins that are interest-bearing are actually a little bit more ideal because not only are you backed by one of the strongest assets in the world, but it's also earning interest and actually helping solve a particular problem. There is also, real-world assets such as interest-bearing stablecoins backed by real estate, derived from the revenues generated from that particular real estate property. I think Tangible is doing something really interesting with that. But yeah, there are different use cases for different stablecoins. I wouldn't want to see 100 different stablecoins, but very specific based solutions does have a place in Cosmos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go.
I think one more comment on kind of the demand side. For dYdX that offers perpetuals all set like denominated margined in stable coins, it's really important to have an asset that is stable and that our traders want to use. Ultimately, everyone, if you ask every market maker, institutional firm, pro trader, which stable coin do they prefer? I think it's honestly a wash between USDC versus Tether, and that's definitely changed over time. For us, really making sure that the underlying collateral is stable and that there's strong alignment around ecosystem development and having shared values around what we view kind of the 5 to 10 year horizon for user adoption is why we're really excited to continue to partner with Circle. We're excited for what's to come.
Yeah. Follow-up question for Boz and maybe even Zaki, but what characteristics do you recommend other native stablecoins on Cosmos to adopt? And this is maybe to speak to builders in the room that might be interested in launching more stablecoins or other stablecoins or algorithmic stablecoins that want to launch on Cosmos.
I think one of the most interesting characteristics that I'd like to see is proof of reserves. Backing those stable coins and whatever kind of reserves are actually backing, whether it's multi-fiat, whether it's real estate and fiat, whether it's other hard assets like gold. I think Paxos Gold is really interesting in terms of use cases.
Yep.
USDC obviously has quite a bit of reputation to back the strong brand and the stable coins that it has. But the biggest item for me would probably be proof of reserves on-chain.
So what do I think the pieces are? I think that there is quite a lot of opportunity. Okay. So like, what are the big opportunities? I think one is I do think there's a demand for jurisdictional diversity, right? like I said, I mean, I think Circle's regulatory structure is optimal and ideal, but it doesn't mean that it works for every user. It works across every locale. It's easy to access from everywhere. Ultimately, the primary way of creating USDC is to be able to wire money to a bank account in the US, which is not necessarily the easiest thing to do for every kind of institution. So, there's been expressed interest in doing from a team in Japan. There are teams in other, so I think jurisdictional diversity is probably going to be one of the sort of potential and major stories. I think the other thing that we've seen is if you kind of look at the sort of life cycle of Maker, right? Starts out single collateral, fully decentralized, becomes multi-collateral, now becomes real-world asset-backed as well. The lines get very blurry between stablecoins as they scale. In fact, the lines between lending protocols and stablecoins also become very blurry as these things scale. And so I think, in general, you're going to see more and more convergence there's a lot of opportunities to start at different points within Cosmos, but a tendency to converge. The other thing that might become possible is for instance, backing a stablecoin with a position on dYdX. That kind of stuff that level of composability also will become possible as these things evolve.
Yeah, good to note. A specific question for David and dYdX. So, big exciting move for you guys to migrate onto the Cosmos Interchain Network. How does this the Circle USDC coming onto Cosmos excite you guys? What are you guys looking forward to?
Yeah, so I think Nate just gave a really great presentation on what to expect with the dYdX chain. We're really excited to partner with Circle and Noble and other parts of the Cosmos tech stack to launch the dYdX chain in the near future. Again, I think there's something to be said around just the amount of volume and liquidity that an application and an app chain like dYdX can do for the Cosmos ecosystem. Again, 1 trillion in volume, 50,000 unique dYdX token holders today, over 60,000 unique perpetual traders in the last 2 years. All of that kind of user-based liquidity, product expertise coming to the Cosmos ecosystem is a massive boon. Additionally, dYdX trading has 50 or so engineers contributing to the Cosmos SDK. That's a very significant increase in terms of people contributing to the open source code. And so again, I think Ethereum Starkware has gotten us to where we are today. We're really excited about the next step of launching a vertically integrated app chain that really is custom purpose built for our use case. And stablecoins are an important part of that, to be able to create perpetual products. That's not to say that in the future there won't be multi-collateral and other things that our community of ecosystem partners can build around the code base. But I think there's just a lot to look forward to, and we are two to 3 weeks away from the next chapter of the dYdX story.
Yeah, exciting. Well, to wrap up this whole conversation and also to put a bow tie on all the announcements that we've just heard, as Zaki you mentioned, we've just come off a year of perhaps recovering, reviving, continuing to build post the collapse of the UST stablecoin on Cosmos. So. Each of you, parting thoughts, what's your hope for the Cosmos interchain ecosystem now with, Circle fully partnering with the Cosmos ecosystem, as well as dYdX launching very soon? Zaki, we'll start with you.
My hope is that Cosmos actually can again become a place where different parts of the stablecoin economy actually really start to thrive again. We have both native Tether and native USDC on the platform. We have concentrated liquidity on Osmosis. We have perps settled in stablecoins. We have like all of these pieces to allow for a really rich economy around stablecoins to now develop in 2024. So I'm hoping that we've like sort of like we've done all the pieces. We've kind of put all these pieces in places. Now users, traders, institutions need to join the ecosystem and take advantage of it.
Great.
Absolutely. I think echoing off that, like for us, like Circle's making a big bet on Cosmos here, right? It's not just Circle issuing USDC and saying good luck. We are building infrastructure around this to allow developers and users to interact and use with USDC the same way you would with any other internet app you use now. And I think our big bet, and I think which will be really interesting with the dYdX rollout, is to open the eyes of other big Web 2 companies with this crazy built-in distribution of, wow, we can actually bring this on chain. Here are the advantages we can do this with, and here's all the infrastructure you use for this. So whether it's CCTP, whether it's minting USDC with us, there's going to be a lot of different services and suite of tools that we're going to help initiate this. So I mean, for us, we're just excited to help facilitate those digital dollars through USDC, and excited to see what developers want to build. I think Lena hit the nail on the head, like dollarization, remittances, like there's a lot of real world utility that can totally run on Cosmos and Noble USDC. We're excited to see that.
Great.
Yeah, to echo both of them, I'd love to see, well, one of the things that Cosmos just has proved is how resilient the ecosystem has been in terms of having builders continue building, working with each other, and actually develop these solutions and provide the opportunity for all these really incredible ingredients to actually come in, especially on the infrastructure side. So my hope is that it attracts actually way more developers, more application developers instead of just chain or new networks coming online. But I would love to see more DeFi applications, gaming applications, SocialFi applications, GambleFi applications take advantage of all this incredible infrastructure around stablecoins to increase the utility and enhance the use cases of all the things that we've been talking about on stage today.
I'm really excited, obviously, for the launch of the dYdX chain, which hopefully will be deployed soon. I think it's really a milestone moment after almost a year and a half of development. With the whole code base being open sourced on October 10th. Again, somewhat of a hot take. Like, I think Antonio, the founder of dYdX Trading, is always the first to say, dYdX doesn't necessarily want to be known as a Cosmos chain. Ultimately, it's really about building the best product experience, regardless of kind of the tech stack behind it. But I think the fact that a lot of the industry is looking at dYdX having moved from an application on Ethereum to its own app chain is really something I think a lot of the industry will continue to look at and see if that makes sense for them. And I'm just really excited about putting our money where our mouth is and really leaning into full decentralization, and that's really only made possible with the Cosmos SDK and the infrastructure that has been available to us within the Cosmos ecosystem. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Wow, that's some encouraging words for the Cosmos Interchain ecosystem. And so, yeah, please join me in thanking my fellow panelists, Zaki, Seamus, Boz, and David. Yes, you can clap. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Speak later. Okay.